My beloved child, I heard the cries you hid in your pillow and felt the weight in your chest when you ran out of words to pray. You thought no one saw you, but I sat beside you while your heart broke in the quiet. Every time you felt forgotten, I held the scattered pieces of your hope together. You didn't have to speak. I understood the ache you never said out loud. Others saw strength in your eyes. I saw the battle you fought inside. You stayed faithful when answers were slow, and you kept moving when your soul was tired. I noticed it all. I've been shaping a response, not just on time, but made for the depth of your need. You weren't ignored. You weren't overlooked. I watched your trust take root in dark soil, knowing beauty was going to rise. The tears you cried in private are watering the breakthrough that's already on its way. I didn't hurry it because I wanted it to arrive right when it would build you, not break you. Not too early to weaken your resolve, not too late to add to your pain. You believed when nothing made sense, and that endurance moved my heart. That loyalty opens doors no one can shut. Your prayers were never thrown into emptiness. I heard you from the first whisper. I was completing something in you before I completed something for you. Now I'm placing the very thing you asked for in your hands. It may not look exactly like you imagined, but it will fit the shape of your soul. The wait will be worth every second. This answer carries my fingerprints and my timing. I crafted it in love and deliver it with power. The quiet season is breaking. Lonely prayers are meeting fulfillment. What was held back is being released. You're about to see faith meet a divine appointment. It won't only feel like an answer, it will feel like healing and clarity, like a soft kiss of heaven on a day no one expected. It's coming in a way that not only meets your request, but restores parts of you that felt forgotten while you waited. I don't just give answers, I give myself. I am the answer, wrapped in presence, truth, and peace. The breakthrough is the beginning. I'm not only changing your circumstances, I'm showing you how close I've always been. Delays were not denials, they were designs. You were not abandoned, you were being aligned. Now that the moment is here, open your heart to what is unfolding. Receive, rejoice. I'm stepping into your story not only to respond, but to remain. What I'm bringing is more than a solution. It's an encounter with my love that changes everything from the inside out. Breathe deeper, smile again. Walk forward with new strength, because what you feared might never come is already at your door. Knock, and it will open. Ask, and you will see what I shaped in the quiet. Your answer has been ready, waiting for you to be ready too, and now you are. Let me in. There were nights you whispered, "Where are you?" and thought I turned away. Even when the heavens seemed still, I was not absent, I was active. You see the surface, I see the layers beneath. I wasn't ignoring your pain, I was stopping arrows you never knew were coming. I wasn't idle while you suffered, I was building bridges you hadn't seen, connecting you to outcomes you never imagined. Just because your eyes couldn't trace me didn't mean I wasn't surrounding you. I was sowing answers along paths that looked blocked. Behind locked doors, my hand turned unseen keys. You couldn't see the seeds I planted beneath the soil of delay, but I knew when to lift them into the light. While you focused on the visible, I commanded the invisible to shift in your favor. People walked away thinking nothing was happening for you, but I stayed near the details, threading moments, aligning opportunities, softening hearts, arranging meetings that will speak your name in due season. The stillness wasn't empty. It was sacred, a holy hush before unveiling. Even in the quiet, my voice moved through eternity for you. I wasn't silent. I was speaking in places that would shape your destiny. I whispered in rooms you haven't entered, stirred those with influence, and touched lives you'll meet at the right time. You saw a standstill. I set ripples that would crash into your life as favor. Your name was placed on tongues and in thoughts of those holding the next step. Doors were easing open long before you arrived to knock. I went ahead of you, securing, preparing, protecting. Dangers you never saw, delays you never faced, disasters you didn't meet. These weren't luck, they were my quiet interventions. I don't always announce my movements. Sometimes I work in silence to guard what's sacred. I cover your path in mystery not to confuse you, but to keep holy things from being harmed until their time. My wisdom moves where logic fails. You asked for clarity, I answered with alignment. You asked for direction, I ordered your steps without explaining every turn. You were never lost, you were guided by currents of my will. What seemed like silence was the hum of heaven at work. I held together things you didn't know were fragile. I rerouted circumstances that would have crushed you. The pause wasn't punishment, it was protection. Some answers need a construction zone of miracles, so I cleared away where there wasn't one. Every second was held in my hand. Now the visible meets the invisible, and you'll see why the quiet mattered. I hid the work not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much to let it be tampered with. The curtain is lifting. The quiet season did its purpose. Step into evidence built in secret. This chapter will prove I was never still. I was moving mountains you didn't know existed and preparing a stage only heaven could build. The space between your asking and my delivering wasn't wasted. It was preparation. In the stillness, I planted something deeper than you guessed. You wondered if I forgot your prayer. I was carving capacity in you. I wasn't delaying to deny, I was cultivating. I softened and tilled the soil of your soul for a blessing that doesn't visit and leave. It settles and stays. What I'm bringing needs steady ground. If I had given it too soon, it would have crumbled under immaturity or misunderstanding. In the waiting, I built endurance and deepened your discernment. What felt like a pause was my process, shaping your character so that when the answer arrived, you would recognize it and carry it well. I didn't ask you to wait to withhold joy. I asked you to wait to preserve what would be yours. In the quiet, I taught you to hear my whisper, to trust me when doubt screamed, to lean not on what you saw, but on who I am. That foundation takes surrender, patience, persistence, and you chose to keep believing when walking away felt easier. Those hidden choices unlocked what I'm unveiling now. The roots of your obedience run deep. Like a tree in full bloom, you will witness fruit that could grow no other way. I did not rush because I wanted it to last. I'm not handing out quick fixes, I'm fostering transformation. This answer won't be temporary comfort. It will set a new course. It's a turning point, not a brief relief. You endured what many would avoid. You held on through long nights. You let go when I asked, even when it hurt. Those moments tilled the ground. Those choices made room for what comes next. I won't just fill empty places. I will overflow into areas you didn't know needed healing. The waiting didn't take from you. It prepared you to receive more than you imagined. Now your heart is set to see me, not just the gift, and when your eyes are on me, everything else aligns. You wondered why it took so long. You'll soon see my timing wasn't slow, it was precise. People, places, and pathways needed arranging. I am not confusion, I am order. Every delay was tied to a setup you couldn't have designed. If it came earlier, it would have cost you something precious. Because you allowed patience to grow, you're stepping into something steady, lasting, and unmistakably authored by me. Peace will come with this answer. The kind of peace that fits your spirit like a key in its true lock. I don't just prepare blessings for my children, I prepare my children for their blessings. That preparation is complete. You've been faithful with little. Now watch what I do with much. You waited well. You're ready to carry what's been waiting for you. The unfolding has begun. From the start, your identity has been marked where it can never be erased, engraved in hands that carried nails for you. People may have overlooked you, passed you by, dismissed your heart when it longed to be seen. But in heaven, your name never lost its place. I etched it into eternity, not with ink, but with a love that cannot be undone. The world may have labeled you forgettable. I called you by name, over and over, with intention. I carried you at my center, not as a rare thought, but as a beloved priority. You weren't waiting in a forgotten corner. You were held in the center of attention that never fades. Even when nothing moved, your name was whispered in heavenly places. I didn't turn from you. I leaned closer while others moved on. My affection for you never shook. I caught every sigh of disappointment. I treasured every quiet hope you hid. You have never been outside my gaze. You've never been beyond my reach. I have always known you, every thought, fear, desire, and longing. When days blurred and hope thinned, I was present, preserving promise, guarding your spirit, honoring every unseen act of faith. You are not a background character in your story. You are seen, valued, and known, personally, intentionally, continually. The silence wasn't my forgetfulness. It was space to let you see what it means to be remembered by me. Being remembered means nothing in your life is random. I've mapped every chapter with purpose, even the pauses that didn't make sense. Your name was never lost among billions. I spoke it with compassion when others skimmed past you. Behind veils, I honored your trust. You may have been skipped in lines, but you were first in my plans. You may have felt late, but your place was prepared. When you wondered if I still knew what you carried, I was arranging what you could not yet handle. Now you'll see what it looks like to be remembered by the King of Glory. Your name is remembered and revealed. Heaven never forgot you, and earth is about to echo what I spoke in secret. Walk as one who knows they were always cherished. I didn't leave you. I slowed what was around you so I could walk beside you. What has your name on it is arriving by covenant, not chance. I promised I would not leave you, and I haven't. I promised to remember you, and I always will. When you see what I unfold, you won't question if you were known. You'll know you've always been held. I know the quiet made you wonder if I stepped away, but the lack of noise was shielding. There were gifts with your name on them, too delicate to expose early, too sacred to cast where they'd be trampled. I allowed silence to protect your future. You didn't see the battles around what belonged to you. I veiled them so nothing could be stolen, stained, or sabotaged. The quiet wasn't a void. It was a cover of wisdom to prevent interference. While others rushed ahead without counsel, I taught you to be still, to trust when nothing shifted, to walk steady on invisible roads, to hold your peace while I fought for your portion. The delay was my defense around your inheritance. Some blessings need secrecy until release. So I covered yours to keep the timing perfect and the environment safe. If it had come earlier, it would have landed in chaos or in hands not ready to steward it. Because I love you, I reserved it, not to withhold joy, but to preserve it. What's coming carries weight and purpose. It cannot be rushed or handled casually. So I wrapped it in strategy, cloaked it in patience, planted it in stillness. You thought silence meant distance. I was closer than ever, hovering over what belonged to you. Rerouting delays meant to derail, removing counterfeit doors that looked like opportunities, shielding your heart from voices without my spirit. This wasn't punishment, it was positioning. I prepared a release without compromise. Your portion is too significant for human timing. I strengthened you in the quiet so you'd step forward with clarity and courage. Now the silence is breaking, not because I just began, but because what I protected is mature enough to reveal. You'll notice alignment that feels effortless, not because it's easy, but because it's secured in wisdom. Conversations, opportunities, and resources are not random. They're part of a design I've been crafting longer than you knew. This wasn't stalling, it was sacred timing. Hearts needed softening, systems needed shifting, roads needed paving. The groundwork is complete, the covering is lifting. The unveiling will exceed your expectation. Doors will open at my authority, not by human pressure. What is yours will arrive with clarity. What I hid wasn't buried, it was preserved. What I appoint for you must be kept from hands not assigned to it. I've done exactly that. Now, as fulfillment rises, walk forward knowing what arrives is uncorrupted, on time, and unmistakably mine. You were not ignored, you were insulated. When your voice rose in desperation, heaven moved. I didn't need an audience to begin the shift. I needed your honest heart, and you gave it. When you faced walls too high and cycles too long, I listened as a father ready to intervene. Your prayer wasn't a faint sound lost in wind. It was trust that pierced through noise and reached my throne. While the surface looked still, I was changing the foundation. I repositioned people who weren't meant for your future. I cut off influences draining your strength. I redirected circumstances that seemed random but were connected to your next chapter. The ripple began at once, arranged so you wouldn't see the full picture until the right time. Coincidence? No. Choreography. I adjusted seasons, slowed meetings, accelerated encounters, aligning the answer for when your heart could carry it. Every chance you're about to see was written the moment you surrendered. Your plea didn't bounce back, it set my authority in motion. I stirred courage in those assigned to help you. I redirected opposition. I realigned timing, lifted weights you didn't know you carried, all because you trusted me enough to ask. You placed your situation in my hands and chose faith over frustration. I heard the words you couldn't form, the exhaustion behind your smile, the longing after each setback. I answered with power, not just to change around you, but to transform within you. I didn't want a quick fix. I wanted a sure freedom. I reached into the roots of the cycle and began rebuilding you from the inside out. What's coming is not surface change. It's a lasting shift that protects your purpose. Every detail is intentional. This isn't a patch, it's a pillar. The prayer you whispered has lit a path. As you move, things will fall into place, not by striving, but by my arranging. Don't underestimate that midnight cry. It activated a breakthrough arriving in waves. You're stepping into answers wrapped in peace, solutions soaked in wisdom, and doors that open at my command. The atmosphere is shifting because the groundwork is finished. You are stepping into alignment, and nothing can reverse what I've set in motion. What seemed out of reach is coming into focus. You walked long stretches of uncertainty, holding promises that felt far away. I counted every step. The season of postponement did its work, and now what was held back is being released. Refining has had its time. Realization is beginning. The pause wasn't punishment, it was preparation for permanence. What I spoke over you will now take form, fully, clearly, undeniably. Heaven is aligning with earth. What was hidden is being revealed. You endured the tension between promise and fulfillment with courage, and I honor that persistence. Many let go. You stayed anchored. Your endurance was not wasted. Because you believed with no sign, you'll see a breakthrough no one can miss. The timeline has turned. The hour is right. You're not walking toward an answer. The answer is walking toward you. It will carry weight and favor. What felt indefinitely delayed is arriving with acceleration. Things will shift, not by your effort, but by my decree. I've called time on the delay. I've commanded release. The gate is unlocked by obedience. Your portion is no longer waiting. No more cycles of postponement. The pattern is broken. The ceiling has lifted. What you dreamed will enter your daily walk. This won't be a momentary win. It begins sustained movement. Momentum will rise in places that once held you still. Those who overlooked you will notice. Paths that seemed closed will clear. This is not random favor. It's the fruit of faithfulness in hard times. Your story turns a page where things unfold quickly, yet peacefully. You won't feel overwhelmed. You'll feel carried. You won't chase. What's meant will find you. The atmosphere is changing. Tension to relief, struggle to ease. I'm not only giving what you asked for, I'm removing the residue of painful waiting. I'm redeeming time by multiplying the reward, restoring strength spent on faith when you saw nothing. You're entering a movement that will overflow beyond you, into people and places you didn't expect. This is purposeful, not just personal. I'm using your life to show how I keep my word to those who refuse to give up. Lift your head. Watch almost become now. Step into visibility, certainty, fulfillment. The delay has ended. Your answer is here. Those stubborn doors that never yielded, they weren't closed to harm you. They were sealed to guard what wasn't ready. Some doors aren't denials, they're assignments waiting for timing. That timing has come. Barriers will fall without your pushing. I hold the keys, and I'm turning them for you. No chain, no voice, no wall will stop what I call yours. You won't force, convince, or beg. This opening doesn't ask you to prove your worth. It responds to the authority I placed on you. What felt impossible will yield like it's been waiting, because it has. I've prepared the other side with precision. The space is set, the environment curated, the people positioned, the purpose aligned. Worth was never in question. Every piece needed to be ready. Now it is, and I'm swinging it wide. Walk through, not as a guest pleading permission, but as one carrying heaven's endorsement. The struggle to access ends. Grace meets movement. Favor removes friction. What took months will happen in moments. Where others labored for entry, you'll be ushered in by invitation. Because I'm not only opening the way, I'm walking you through it. You won't wonder where to go or if you belong. The imprint of my hand will be obvious. People will say it wasn't possible. I will answer with proof. I didn't forget you when others entered. I saved this for your feet, your assignment, your time. It's designed with your name. The season has changed. The resistance is broken by my word. I've spoken release and no one can reverse it. Not one door, many. A chain reaction of favor. One opening will lead to another until possibilities surround you. You're arriving by design. Doubts will dissolve as you move in certainty. I've straightened what was crooked. The door opens smoothly. Step through. Everything on the other side has waited for this moment. It's time. While you wrestled with delay, I sent help you couldn't see. You were never alone in the stillness. Messengers from my kingdom moved on your behalf. When you thought nothing was happening, they carried instructions, cleared obstacles, guarded what I declared yours. What felt lost was protected in transit. I assigned your breakthrough an escort. These servants aren't bound by earthly resistance. They move at the speed of my word. They've walked through locked places and tight spaces, unseen, doing what no human could arrange. Your future is too precious to leave to chance. I didn't only speak, I acted in power. Assignments have gone out, blueprints delivered, doors unlocked, favor handed over, in alignment with my will. You believed when hope was thin. You trusted with little evidence. That kind of faith activates my resources. Because of your surrender, I've surrounded your situation with heavenly help. Blessings are moving toward you now. No enemy can block them, and no fear can undo them. This help doesn't fumble, fail, or forget. It knows where to go, when to arrive, and what to release. When it reaches you, it will bring provision and confirmation. You were never abandoned or overlooked. You'll know I heard you from the beginning. The things you mourned as impossible are on their way, carried by hands that do not tire. Your tears and waiting are not wasted. They made room for what's being delivered. Watch as pieces click into place with urgency but without chaos. They're ensuring nothing delays the final step. They're not only fulfilling orders, they're guarding your heart as change arrives. What's coming is sacred, sealed, signed with my name. The delay made you wonder if it would ever happen. Now you'll see your faith wasn't wasted. It built the runway for my response, and now it's landing. There were hopes that didn't arrive when you expected. Doors stayed shut, prayers felt unanswered. You wondered if silence meant rejection. Hear me. What looked like denial was preservation. I wasn't punishing, I was protecting. I said not yet because the moment wasn't ready and the pieces weren't all in place. You saw a mischance. I sealed it for safekeeping, untouched and intact until the fullness of time. I never forgot what you asked. I marked it with purpose. I hid it not to deprive you, but to align it with the maturity I was building in you. Like a seed buried before bloom, your promise was hidden in trust, not death. You weren't passed over, you were prepared. What I reserved was too meaningful to come before your spirit could carry it with wisdom and gratitude. Earlier, you might have doubted its origin or mishandled its purpose. Now your eyes are clearer, your discernment sharper, your spirit anchored. I'm lifting the cover from what has always been yours. It's not newly given, it's revealed. You'll understand why it couldn't come sooner. You'll see that waiting built the strength you needed. What I'm releasing isn't left over, it's your portion, preserved and protected, arriving now because everything agrees with heaven's timing. If you received it then, it would have landed in an environment unfit to sustain it. Now the atmosphere has shifted. You're positioned and postured to receive an assignment, not just a gift. You don't have to chase or compete. This was always part of the plan. What once haunted you as a no is becoming a clear now. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. A door that locked while you cried is opening into rooms prepared for your feet. It won't feel foreign, it will feel like home, because it is. My reserve wasn't rejection, it was preservation. When others seemed to accelerate, I carved a different path, one that can't be copied. Original things take time. What's being handed to you was cultivated in quiet, protected in the spiritual, and tailored to you. You didn't miss it. You were made for it. The weight served its purpose. The covering is lifting. The delay is undone. What you thought was gone now stands at your threshold, ripe, real, and yours. What felt like endless breaking wasn't meant to destroy you. It was preparing the ground for what only heaven could grow. Every tear, setback, and lonely night was not meaningless. It nourished soil where promise now blooms. I never wasted a wound. Buried hope was planted purpose. I know you asked why the weight pressed so hard, why the crushing felt unfair. The depth of your ache was tied to the depth of your destiny. The ground of your life needed breaking. Not as punishment, but to host a harvest that can't grow on hard soil. I let hard things come, not because I delight in your pain, but because I saw your future fields. You didn't just survive. You gained strength, resilience, wisdom, and compassion. Others saw suffering. I saw seeds sown in secret. Lonely moments were sacred. Silent seasons were divine. You grew roots no one could see. Now harvest time is here. Pain will make sense, not by erasing memory, but by outweighing it with reward. You're stepping into a reaping season, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, even in places you gave up on. Things will bloom where you least expected. Where there was barrenness, there will be beauty. Where there was emptiness, overflow. I have not forgotten your endurance or overlooked your process. What springs up now won't be wrestled from the ground. It will rise from what I watered while you were breaking. I was near every time you thought you couldn't go on. I whispered strength to your weary heart. I collected every cry and pressed it into the soil of mercy. Nothing was lost. What rises will refresh others too. This is your testimony. Those who doubted quiet perseverance will witness visible promise. They'll ask how, and you'll remember the nights you sowed in faith and the mornings you stood after shattering. This harvest isn't random, it's holy endurance made visible. I am repaying sacrifice with purpose. You won't strive to gather, it will come to you. Blessing will meet you where you stand because the soil is ready and the season has turned. What looked like failure was fertility. New life is growing from places you mourned. Lift your eyes, not for another storm, but for rain that brings life. Your field is ready, your roots are strong, your faith has endured. Now comes the fruit, now comes the flourishing. You've heard no echo across seasons. Closed doors, missed calls, dissolved plans, dreams that didn't arrive when you hoped. You gave your best, prayed with sincerity, and wondered what you did wrong. You watched others move while you stood with open, empty hands. I never turned away. Those no's were protections wrapped in mercy. You asked for good. I guarded you from what couldn't hold you. What looked like denial was me pulling you back from detours that would steal what I promised. I didn't allow certain things, not because you were unworthy, but because you're too valuable to settle for less than my intent. Time sharpened your vision. Refining taught you I never needed performance. I wanted trust. You trusted, even when it hurt, even when silence stretched. Now I step in with fulfillment. I'm turning disappointment into alignment. The closed opportunity will reveal the space where something better has been growing. I'm not compensating, I'm completing. This isn't late, it's right on time. It may not look like what you first asked, it will surpass it. It will speak to the deeper longing you didn't yet know how to pray. You thought you needed that door then, but now you'll see I had something wider and steadier. Not just provision, but peace. I'm pulling you out of regret and into what I always intended. Yesterday's denials are bowing to today's declarations. Unanswered prayers are being rewritten with new direction. Blocked paths are leading to purpose. Endings you grieved are becoming beginnings you didn't see coming. I don't hand you leftovers. I reveal first fruits. I don't only reverse pain, I redeem it. Prepare your heart, not for recovery, but for discovery. What I do will hush old questions and stir fresh wonder. You'll even thank me for what didn't happen when you asked, because you'll see my timing was loaded with goodness. Waiting added weight to the blessing. Closed chapters turned pages toward depth. The no you carried with sorrow is turning into a yes so precise you'll know it's me. Nothing was wasted, not even the delay. The things that drained you, heavy situations, constant battles, the quiet cost of carrying hope, are changing roles. Where they took strength, they will now release strength. I'm turning former burdens into foundations of blessing. You gave so much into uneven relationships, hard efforts, seasons where faith looked fruitless. Now I'm flipping the equation. I'm repurposing every draining place and every weary memory. What wore you down will become a spring of fresh life. You'll revisit those memories and feel renewed, not emptied. They'll anchor the testimony I'm building. What was struggle becomes clarity and courage. You won't carry the same weight again. You're rising with new strength from a well dug in pain that now overflows with purpose. The places where you were stretched are being filled with resilience and holy confidence. You didn't earn this by striving, but by remaining. I'm breathing new life into what tried to break you. Those battles built rooms in your soul only my spirit could fill. You grew even when you didn't notice. Your faith, awareness, intimacy with me. The version of you that walked through storms is giving way to the one I imagined, steady, wise, and free. My promise isn't just meeting a need, it's activating the reservoir within you. Exhaustion ends here. I'm turning the ground where you wept into the floor where you'll dance. Places that drained your joy will become places joy springs up. You're not returning to old fights, you're returning with new authority. Where you once lost your voice, you'll speak with purpose. I rewired your spirit in the struggle. Now what you carry will not leak through fear. It will pour out as healing oil. What tried to steal has added to you. What threatened peace now proves my presence. I'm declaring a divine reversal, loss to gain, tears to tools, fatigue to lasting energy. You're not just stronger, you're anchored in me, the source that never runs dry. From here on, what once emptied you will fuel you. The promise is taking shape inside you, and your world will align to it. No more cycles of discouragement. The tables have turned. Before you step into the places I prepared, I've already sent your name ahead. Doors are opening by my decree. Your name has been spoken in rooms you haven't entered, placed on hearts you haven't met, people whose decisions align with your path. This isn't chance, it's providence. I'm making a way where no map existed, not because of who you know, but because of who I am. Your influence expands by my orchestration. In hidden places I planted favor with your name. You were faithful in quiet obedience. Now I'm expanding your presence beyond what you could imagine. Conversations are happening, plans forming, assignments drawn, with your name attached. You didn't force your way in, I ushered you in. The hidden work is being honored openly. You don't need to prove your worth. I've already impressed your value on the hearts of those assigned to help. I stirred compassion and conviction in them. They may not know why they're drawn to your name, but I do. The conversation you've waited for has started. The opportunity you prayed for is in motion. Access you need is granted where it matters most. Time and purpose are aligning so your steps meet the prepared path. You won't fight for recognition or visibility. I promote without politics, exalt without compromise, and open doors no one can close. When you arrive, the room will feel like it was waiting because it was. I prepare places and people. What I ordain isn't fragile, it won't be taken by another. Don't underestimate the ripple of your name. I'm setting it in motion. It's not about fame, it's about fulfillment. It's not about crowds, it's about the right voices. They're ready to receive you, welcome you, and endorse what I planted. When you look back, you'll see I wasn't slow. I was intentional. Delays blended with conversations you couldn't hear. I set the stage for your arrival. Now walk boldly, speak confidently, live peacefully. You're entering spaces shaped by promise, not preference. I go before you and I'll walk with you in every step. You felt suspended in time, doors not moving, prayers hanging like letters without reply. You searched yourself for fault, wondering if you misheard me or misjudged your worth. There was no mistake in my timing, only precision. When I said not yet, it was to keep the moment I set aside perfect for what you longed for. Every delay carried purpose you couldn't see. Now that hour has come. You're standing in the now I designed. I wasn't withholding, I was reserving. I aligned things so the release would arrive without cracks or confusion. If I allowed it earlier, it would have been half-formed and tangled. You aren't left behind. You were aligned with a destiny that doesn't rush. I don't move by clocks, I move by sequence. Your life is keeping time with my will. What felt impossible is becoming available. The fog lifts. Delay reveals itself as protection. You'll thank me for not saying yes too soon. I watched you wait without bitterness. You're fragile, I still believe, under long silence. That faith moves heaven. I've been weaving moments, shifting hearts, and maturing spaces to receive you well. I bring you into clarity, not chaos. My not yet was love preparing better. There's a difference between a quick gift and a gift in season. What you're receiving has been marinated in purpose and saturated in presence. It will last. It won't slip away. It will root, grow, and multiply. You'll know it came without manipulation, just my open way at the right time. This moment isn't fragile, it's fortified. You'll feel a deep familiarity, as if your soul knew this was coming, because I planted glimpses long ago to keep you hoping. The wait turns to wonder. You're not asking when, because the when is now. Receive with peace, walk with holy confidence. I'm showing why I waited. It wasn't delay, it was design. I do all things well. You compared your journey to others and feared you were behind. You watched timelines unfold for them while yours felt paused. You didn't miss anything. Your story was being tuned to a better rhythm. I wasn't. To rushing you to meet expectations, I was rooting you to sustain elevation. You are not delayed, you are aligned. While others sprinted, I anchored you. I refined character, sharpened focus, removed distractions, built inner strength, and tuned your perspective so you wouldn't just receive blessing, you'd carry it with grace, steward it with wisdom, and guard it with maturity. Waiting did not put you behind. It put you in position. I'm not preparing you for a moment. I'm establishing you for lasting impact. Precious things require pressure and patience. I wouldn't give you weight you couldn't bear. While you counted months, I measured readiness. I don't move by speed, I move by wholeness. Now the so-called stall is revealed as synchronization. Encounters line up, opportunities unlock, peace flows. Not because you forced it, but because you trusted me when nothing moved. The longer you waited, the deeper I worked. In silence, I built endurance. In disappointment, I taught discernment. In solitude, I tuned you to my voice. Now, aligned, you won't strain for what's yours, it will reach for you. Alignment means acceleration without exhaustion, progress without panic. You're not chasing, you're walking in step. Needs will appear as you move. Approval is already spoken. You don't have to chase acceptance, you're chosen. What I forged in waiting is the foundation under your feet. There is no too late in the hands of the one who holds time. I redeem it, reshape it, and reign over it. If we rushed, something vital would be missing. Now nothing is missing. You are whole, ready, right on time. The tension between desire and delay is breaking because release has begun. Hard things will start to flow. Dry places will bloom. Ideas that felt early will find favor. Connections will click like puzzle pieces because this is the season where your preparation meets my provision. You'll feel the ease that comes from standing where you were always meant to be. This isn't luck or accident or late. This is alignment. You are standing in the now, shaped by every unseen moment of waiting. What's next will prove you were never behind, you were becoming. People drifted from your life, some slowly, some suddenly, and it left an ache you couldn't name. Their absence felt like rejection and silence after laughter. You asked me why. I allowed their exit as refinement, not loss. Some attachments can't carry the weight of what I'm doing in you. Not everyone who starts is meant to stay. If they remained, they would dilute the sacredness of this season. When I pour something holy, I first clear the space, not perfect, but pure. So I made room, I allowed distance. I removed distractions dressed as loyalty. The promise I'm unfolding needed protection from influences not called to steward it. If they stayed, they might have mishandled what I nurtured, pulled you off course, or tied their motives to your moment. Because I love you, I guarded your circle. Others called it loneliness. I called it sanctification. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. I wasn't subtracting to hurt you. I was refining to prepare you. Pruning feels like abandonment, but it's alignment. I didn't let them go to punish you. I let them go so your heart could be lighter. When the blessing lands, it will land in soil not trampled by mixed intentions. I remained through every quiet hour. When conversations stopped, I surrounded you with my presence. You learned to hear me in the silence, to find me when no one else could fill the room. In that place, I revealed strength, vision, discernment, and calling. Without the hush, you might have missed the whisper. And that whisper is the doorway opening now. What I'm releasing needed stillness to be born. Now that it's ready, I'm surrounding it with people who are chosen, not convenient, assigned, not attached, honoring, not hidden. You won't question their place, you'll sense it. Every exit made room for what matters. The purity of this blessing is intentional. I'm not only giving what you asked for, I'm wrapping it in peace, planting it in safety, and anchoring it in relationships that carry my heart. Don't mourn who left. Bless and release them. Step forward. Their departure made space for greater roots. I was with you when your heart cracked from betrayal, when promises dissolved, when trusted people changed direction. I intervened, not to cause pain, but to protect you from deeper harm. What seemed to break you built a wall of mercy around your destiny. You prayed for peace and purpose. Sometimes that answer looked like separation, like disappointment, like a door that never opened, yet it was shelter. Some voices sounded kind but would erode your confidence. Some hands couldn't carry your future. I intervened not with thunder but with removal. I took apart what would have dismantled you. I used loss as a shield, discomfort as a compass, the end of relationships as the start of revelation. I held your heart gently. When it shattered, I gathered every piece. When you doubted your worth, I whispered truth. When you wondered why things fell apart, I was building stronger things. Protection doesn't always look soft. Sometimes it looks like heartbreak, so deeper harm never reaches you. I saw what you couldn't, heard what you didn't, and stepped in out of love. Soon you'll look back with relief. You'll see why I blocked doors, hushed voices, and allowed temporary sorrow to stop lasting sorrow. The people who left, the chances that passed, the roles that never fit, they were never meant to carry what's coming. Had they stayed, they would have corrupted what I'm revealing now. I guarded your heart with intention. I protected what I planted in you. The breaks you felt did not end your purpose. They cleared the path for it. They revealed what couldn't journey with you and tuned your spirit to sense what's true. Because of them, you became softer and stronger at once. More awake, more rooted, more aware. Now you're entering a time where you will love without losing yourself, connect without disturbing your peace, and grow without grieving what you had to release. The ones arriving now will not blur your vision. They won't split your soul or dim the flame I set within you. They will speak life, bring clarity, and move with intention. You'll know them quickly, not because they feel familiar, but because they carry my presence. Fear of connection will fade, because you'll see I'm surrounding you with relationships born of alignment, not accident. This chapter won't repeat the pain. It will reveal the protection hidden inside it. What once felt like heartbreak will soon feel like healing, because I was never absent. I was ahead of you, guarding you, acting for you. You didn't lose, you were preserved. And now I'm showing you why. There were times when others decided your journey had reached a dead end. They watched the silence, the pauses, the stalled attempts, and quietly concluded you were finished. They saw the losses and the pullbacks and assumed nothing could rise from what looked like ashes. But what they couldn't see, what even you struggled to believe, was that I was just beginning. I am not governed by appearances. I bring back to life what looks final. I never saw the ending they imagined. I saw a holy pause, a deep inhale before the greatest exhale of your life. You weren't buried. You were planted. What they called a finish line, I called a foundation. While they moved on and wrote you off, I wrote the next chapter. Unexpected, weighty with glory. One that could only emerge after false endings fell away. Let them think it was over. Let them remember you by the last page they read. What I'm unveiling won't just surprise them. It will awaken you. You'll begin to see how I used disappointment to redirect you, quiet to anchor you, and close doors to steer you toward the ones already open in my design. The loss wasn't your downfall. It was your unveiling. The collapse wasn't your conclusion. It was my construction zone. You thought the page had ended. I was turning it slowly so you wouldn't miss the richness of what came next. I don't start a story without knowing how I'll fulfill it. I don't begin without having finished it in eternity. So while others walked away, I shaped something deeper in the shadows. The miracle I prepared grows in hidden places. It waits for quiet, so there's no mistaking that it comes from me. Now I'm drawing back the curtain. You're not stepping back, you're stepping into what I always intended. This is your emergence. The misunderstood chapters are giving way to clear meaning. Those who assumed you were done will witness a revival so personal and purposeful that they'll know it wasn't your doing, it was mine. I'm not bringing you back as who you were. I'm lifting you as someone new, refined, focused, filled. You're not returning to repeat the past. You're stepping into a fresh beginning without the residue of what tried to end you. This isn't a second chance. It's a first unveiling, the revealing of who you've been becoming all along, shaped in shadows and forged in fire. Delay, heartbreak, stillness, each served this. As I breathe on the dreams you thought had died, hope will rise, not forced hope, but a flow from what I promised. Watch what I do. Watch me raise you from what was overlooked. Watch me take ruins and rebuild something so radiant that no one will doubt it came from my hand. Remember, I write stories that rise from endings. I speak beginnings where silence lingers. I choose moments no one expects to deliver miracles no one can deny. The end they imagined is the entrance I designed. This is not over. This is the start, and it begins now. You remember the sting of being left out, the times you were passed by, misread, told you weren't enough. You walked into rooms with courage and met closed doors, polite smiles, and quiet dismissals. You questioned yourself. You wrestled with doubt because spaces you hoped would welcome you tightened their gates. I was watching, not from far away, but as the one arranging each detail. I let certain doors stay shut, not to shrink you, but to protect what I was forming in you. Rejection wasn't proof you lacked value, it was redirection to something greater. If I had let you stay where you weren't honored, it would have warped your identity. So I held you back, not because you weren't ready, but because the room wasn't. Now everything has shifted. Places that once turned you away are being prepared to receive you, not as someone begging entry, but as someone carrying weight, authority, and my undeniable favor. The tables that denied you a seat are being rearranged to make room for your presence. I've gone ahead and spoken your name in places you didn't know were watching. What was rejection becomes recognition, not due to human approval, but because my glory is undeniable. You're not returning as who you were. You're entering refined, sharpened by fire, matured in hiddenness, surrounded by power. You won't have to explain yourself or prove worth. My hand on you will be enough. Walk in and the atmosphere will shift, not by your words, but by what you carry. My favor speaks when you don't. It moves hearts once hardened. It softens the gaze of those who dismissed you. What they couldn't see before is now clear because I've placed my mark on you. I'm opening doors that don't need permission from people. What seemed impossible will now open without resistance. You'll not only be accepted but honored, not just welcomed but wanted, not for a mask but for who I made you. They won't recognize the old version. They'll see someone covered in light, walking in confidence, not shaped by rejection, but formed by my presence. I prepared you for this, not for revenge, but redemption, not to boast in their change of heart, but to glorify mine. This isn't about proving anyone wrong, it's about fulfilling what I said all along. You were called, you were set apart. Now I'm bringing you into rooms not to blend in, but to shift the atmosphere. You are not entering as a guest, you carry divine authority. Your platform rests on calling, not striving. Because of that, you won't be shaken by opinions. You won't flinch at shadows of the past. You'll smile, not from pride, but because you'll finally see why every no was a necessary pause before this release. The story is changing. The narrative is shifting. Your arrival won't be subtle. It will be holy, undeniable. You won't need a title to be known or validation to be chosen. The favor on you will make a way where credentials fall short. Step in boldly. You're stepping into fulfillment, not fantasy. Manifestation, not imagination. I've gone before you. I've made room. I've turned hearts. What once shut you out will open wide, not by force, but by favor. This time, nothing can stop what I've placed on your life. The room is ready. So are you. They doubted. They whispered. Some announced confidently that you wouldn't make it. Your quiet during their speculation fueled their certainty. They mistook your stillness for stagnation and your pause for failure. They didn't know I was preparing something sacred beneath the surface, built not to impress, but to endure. I let their words pass you by, not because I was absent, but because I was using their disbelief to magnify what was coming. I crafted a testimony so undeniable that even those who tried to set your limits would witness your rise. You didn't retaliate or explain yourself. Your silence became holy ground where I planted something so deep and divine that, as it emerges, it silences every critic without you saying a word. I never needed your defense. I asked for your trust. You stayed low when you could have shouted. You remained faithful when you could have fought to be seen. Now I am lifting what was hidden, not for applause, but for evidence. Evidence that I was always with you. Evidence that I answer in ways beyond human prediction. The same mouths that questioned you will speak of the wonder rising from your life, not because you need their affirmation, but because I'm using your journey to show my hand. You're not being elevated out of vengeance. You're being elevated because now is the time for my light to be seen through what others call unlikely. You need not fear their presence when I set your table. A feast isn't for you to boast. It's for me to be glorified. They will see peace on your face, strength in your words, fruit where failure once seemed certain. In noticing, they'll encounter something deeper. The God who builds in silence, honors faithfulness, and lifts his children without man's permission. This isn't about proving them wrong. It's about revealing that I was always right. Every time they counted you out, I counted down to your unveiling. Every time they spoke limits, I spoke life. Now that life is blooming, the fragrance of what I cultivated in you will rise above the noise of opinion. The voices of doubt will fall silent, not because you conformed to their expectations, but because you grew into what I ordained. You don't have to carry the weight of being misunderstood. The results will speak. You won't rehearse responses. You will walk in outcomes. You won't revisit their words. You'll live in mine. I'm redeeming the moments when their echoes grew louder than my promise. Now that promise is visible. What lived in your spirit is taking shape around you. They will witness not just a change in circumstances, but a shift in atmosphere. Something holy, unexpected, undeniable. That is my glory. Not glitter, but depth. Not noise, but transformation. What I'm building in your life is too sacred to be denied, too real to be debated. Some will rethink what they believed about you. More will reconsider what they believe about me. You kept going when no one watched. You stayed planted when others left. Now the harvest will rise where only I saw, and all will know I was with you the whole time. You carried burdens no one knew, the quiet offerings of love, obedience, surrender seen only by me. You chose integrity when compromise looked easier. You walked away from glittering opportunities that didn't match my voice. You stayed on paths that seemed slower and lonelier because you trusted me more than applause. You let go of comfort for conviction. You released people, platforms, and preferences to keep your soul anchored in me. Others glimpsed your path. I saw its cost. I watched you give in secret. I heard your prayers through trembling lips, not asking for rewards but strength to continue. I heard your whispered yes when no one understood why you turned away. None of it was missed. Not a single offering, no matter how small, was lost. What's coming isn't random. It's a response to seeds sown in unseen places, to belief you held when nothing changed, to tears you wiped away without asking for sympathy. This is divine repayment for what you laid down when no one was watching. I honor what you thought would go unnoticed. With me, nothing done in faith is forgotten. I record every act of trust. I gather every tear. I mark every moment you chose me over the world. Now the season of return has begun. What I release won't just make sense of the pain, it will validate the purpose. I'm not merely giving back what you gave up. I'm multiplying it, sanctifying it, and pouring it into your life in ways you could not have orchestrated. This is not simple restoration. It's resurrection of what died in your obedience. The relationships you relinquished, the dreams you buried for my sake, the hours you served without recognition. I'm breathing new life into all of it. Beauty will rise from the ashes of surrender, not to glorify the sacrifice, but to magnify the one who saw it all. I've prepared doors that open because of what you gave behind closed doors. I've lined up blessings that respond to your quiet yes. When they arrive, you'll feel the weight of my kindness. You'll know every season of cost was actually investment. You didn't lose, it simply hadn't returned until now. This move carries the fragrance of fulfillment, the texture of healing, and the clarity of divine orchestration. You'll know you didn't earn it, you were promised it. I'm redeeming the quiet sacrifices, the silent obedience, the disciplined love you chose when walking away seemed easier. I know how tired you were, how tempted you felt to abandon the process, but you stayed, you stood, you believed. Now I'm rewarding the unseen with the undeniable. Expect joy to surprise you in ordinary hours. Expect sudden clarity and breakthrough. Don't be surprised when what you surrendered returns in better form, refined, blessed, wrapped in peace. I didn't ask you to surrender so you'd be empty. I asked you to make room so I could fill it with the eternal. Now that the time has come, nothing can stop what I'm about to release. It's coming not only because I love you, but because I remember everything you laid down to love me back. You've been walking with a weight few could see, a steady, silent pressure from responsibilities, unspoken pain, and private battles. You carried it not from weakness but faithfulness. You kept moving when rest felt easier. You showed up when your soul felt spent. You smiled through storms, encouraged others while fraying inside, gave when you barely had enough. You told yourself you'd be okay as long as others were helped. I saw it all. Every sacrifice, every day you held your breath to keep going, every night you collapsed in unshared tears. Now I say, the exchange is here. What pressed you down will lift suddenly. I'm not asking you to carry what I never meant you to bear forever. I'm stepping in to remove the invisible burdens that shadowed you. In their place, I'm pouring a deep and steady joy, one born of healing, not circumstance, It flows from knowing I never left your side. It doesn't need explanation, it simply overflows. Heaviness won't define your days. You won't wake in dread or fall asleep in weariness. I'm shifting your atmosphere from heavy to light, from burdened to blessed, from weary to renewed. Laughter will return where silence lingered. Peace will settle in your chest where tension lived like an unwelcome guest. This isn't a momentary break. It's a new way of living. I'm teaching you to breathe freely again, to live not as a storm survivor, but as one who carries my presence with ease. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Sorrow has finished its assignment. It taught compassion and sharpened your ear to my voice. Now release it. You are not meant to live in survival mode. I'm moving you into overflow. This joy isn't fragile. It doesn't shift with news or delays. It comes from me. And what comes from me can't be undone by the world. I'm replacing memories that triggered grief with memories marked by grace. Tears will still fall at times, but from overwhelming gratitude, you'll remember how close I stayed when everything felt like it was falling apart, and that memory alone will spark a joy that does not fade. Others will ask how you found light again. Your answer won't be a strategy. It will be testimony. You know what it feels like to be held by me. This is the exchange. Sorrow for singing, heaviness for hope, mourning for movement. You'll walk differently, not slumped by struggle, but steady with grace. They'll notice the glow in your eyes, the strength in your voice, the lift in your spirit. This isn't a small change, it's holy transformation. You're stepping into the promise that those who sow in tears reap in joy, and that reaping begins now. Let the weight fall. Let the joy rise. I'm not giving you a sliver of gladness. I'm flooding your life from the inside out. There's a calm approaching you've never known. Not because life is flawless, but because what I'm sending comes straight from my hand, and what I give carries no strain. You've tied breakthrough to struggle, results to exhaustion, progress to pressure. You believed fruit required constant labor without rest, hustle without pause, fighting for every inch. Now I'm changing the rhythm. What I author doesn't demand striving, it invites stillness. When I send the answer, it won't land like a weight on your back. It will lift a weight from your soul. That's how you'll know it's me. You'll recognize my signature, not just by the open door, but by the rest that meets you as you walk through it. My peace seals what I provide. My favor doesn't cost your wellness. It doesn't fracture your mind or shove you into anxiety. It never asks you to shrink who you are to remain. I'm not the God of performance. I'm the God of presence. When I move for you, things unfold with clarity, timing, and confirmation no one could stage. You've carried decisions afraid to choose wrong. You've asked again and again, what if I miss it? Here is my assurance. You won't have to chase this answer. It will meet you. It will sit gently in your spirit and make sense beyond words. You'll breathe deeper, sleep easier, and smile from quiet confidence. What I bring doesn't create chaos. It carries my nature. I've watched you wrestle with the pressure to get everything right, analyzing what should be simple. You don't have to live like that. I am removing the pressure that disguised itself as responsibility. You've been obedient and faithful, now receive. I'll confirm my hand, not with noise, but with holy ease. Don't expect this chapter to weigh like the last ones. This isn't another uphill push. It's a prepared place. You're arriving by alignment, not force. You'll know it's me because your spirit will rest. Doors will open without manipulation. Opportunities will find you without striving for visibility. Conversations will align, timing will match, and your soul will exhale. That's how I move. Decisive, calm, purposeful. I don't shove you into destiny, I lead you. My spirit doesn't push, he guides. My answer won't feel like a demand, it will carry the feel of a fulfilled promise. You'll stand in what I orchestrated and know this is the Lord's doing. You won't force it to fit or justify it to others. The peace on it will speak louder than any explanation. When doubt whispers answer, I don't bless through stress. My answers don't wear fear. They arrive clothed in assurance, clarity, and grace. Get ready for ease, not because life lacks challenges, but because I'm with you. When I lead you in, you walk with my strength, my presence, my pace. There's no pressure in my will, only peace. And your answer is coming that way. You stood outside many doors, hoping they'd budge, knocking with faith, waiting through delays, trusting when logic said turn back. Every knock surrendered control. Every unanswered moment taught perseverance. Now the knocking ends. The door before you is moving, with momentum, not reluctance. It's not your effort unlocking it, it's my authority. I open what no one can shut. I place favor at destiny's threshold. I'm swinging wide what was sealed because what's behind it is fully prepared. You won't need permission to enter. You won't plead or persuade. This entrance is assigned, not requested. Because it's written by my hand, opposition cannot hold it back. You passed the waiting test. You were refined in the hallway. Now you move from waiting to walking. The door isn't just opening, it's welcoming you. Everything about it responds to the weight of your obedience and the timing of my will. You'll recognize this moment by ease, alignment, and the peace that rushes your spirit. You've been so used to delay that ease may feel strange, but favor often flows without fanfare. You'll step into rooms that feel like home, though you've never been there. You'll hear your name in conversations you didn't start. You'll stand among opportunities you didn't orchestrate. Because I went ahead of you. I whispered your name in sacred places. I turned the hearts of those you're called to join. This is not a random open door. It's a fulfilled word. You were not forgotten. I worked while you waited, arranging details that had to be right. Now that all is in place, I'm drawing back the barrier and inviting you, not as a guest, but as one who belongs. The space fits your voice, your vision, your gifting. You won't feel like an outsider angling to earn your way. You'll feel like you've arrived where I always intended. Closed seasons taught humility. Locked doors taught resilience. This opening will teach how light grace feels. No striving. No fear, just movement, access, fulfillment. You're not entering another cycle of uncertainty. You're stepping into clarity and completion. The prayers you thought were unanswered became the blueprint behind this door. Every delay layered strength so that when this moment came, you wouldn't question if it was yours. It is. Walk through, honorably, not hesitantly. Not as one who stumbled into blessing, but as one chosen to carry it. There's no need to force it, no need to knock again. The door is in motion, and your name has been called. Enter. What you've been waiting for isn't behind you, it's ahead, wide open and full of promise. I guarded your heart with care. I protected what I placed inside you. The breakings didn't cancel your future. They cleared a path for it. They revealed what couldn't travel with you and trained your spirit to spot what's true. Because of those seasons, you've grown softer and stronger at the same time, more present, more awake. Now you're stepping into a time where you'll love without losing yourself, connect without trading your peace, and grow without grieving what needed to go. The ones entering your life won't blur your mind or dim your light. They'll bring clarity, speak life, and move with purpose. You'll recognize them quickly, not because they feel familiar, but because my presence rests on them. You won't fear connection anymore, because you'll see I'm surrounding you with alignment, not accident. This new chapter won't repeat your pain. It will reveal the protection woven through it. What once felt like heartbreak will become healing, because I was watching, working, guarding, and moving on your behalf the whole time. You didn't lose, you were preserved. And now I'm showing you why. There were points when others decided your story had stopped. They examined the pauses, the quiet, the setbacks, and concluded you were finished. They saw the loss and the silence and assumed nothing new could rise from the ashes. But what they couldn't see, and what was hard for you to believe at times, was that I was just beginning. I don't move by appearances. I specialize in resurrection, in renewal, in rewriting endings people stamped as final. I never saw a full stop where they did. I saw a holy pause, one deep inhale before the greatest exhale of your life. You weren't buried, you were planted. Their finish line was my foundation stone. While they moved on and wrote you off, I was crafting a chapter so drenched in my glory, it could only bloom after the false endings fell away. Let them keep the memory of that old page. What I'm unveiling next won't just surprise them, it will awaken you. You'll see how disappointment redirected you, how quiet anchored you, how closed doors guided you to the ones I had already swung open. The loss wasn't your downfall. It was your unveiling. The collapse wasn't the conclusion. It was my construction zone. You thought you'd reached the end, but I was turning the page slowly so you wouldn't miss the beauty of what came next. I don't start what I haven't already finished in eternity. While others walked away, I shaped wonder in the shadows. My miracles grow in hidden places and wait for the hush. So when they rise, there's no doubt they came from me. The curtain is lifting now. You're not going back, you're stepping into what I always planned. This is your emergence. Misunderstood chapters are giving way to clear light. Those who counted you out will watch a revival so personal and so precise that they will know it wasn't your doing, it was mine. I'm not restoring who you were. I'm raising who you've become, refined, focused, filled. You're not returning to repeat the past. You're stepping into a beginning with no residue from what tried to end you. It's not a second chance, it's a first unveiling. The delay, the heartbreak, the stillness all served this. As I breathe on dreams you thought were gone, hope will flow easily because it's rooted in my promise. Watch me lift you from what others overlooked. Watch me rebuild radiance from ruins. Remember this, I write stories that rise from endings. I speak beginnings into silence. The end they imagined is the entrance I designed. This isn't over. This is the start, and it begins now. You remember the sting of being overlooked, walking in with courage and meeting closed doors and quiet dismissals. You wondered if something was wrong with you. You wrestled with doubt because rooms you hoped would welcome you grew colder when you drew near. I wasn't watching from a distance. I was arranging every detail. I kept certain doors shut, not to diminish you, but to protect what I was forming. Rejection wasn't evidence of weakness. It was redirection. If I had left you where you weren't honored, your identity would have been distorted. I held you back not because you weren't ready, but because the room wasn't. Now everything has shifted. The places that turned you away are being prepared to receive you, not as a beggar for entry, but as a carrier of weight, authority, and undeniable favor. Tables that denied you are being rearranged for you. I have spoken your name in places you didn't know existed. What was rejection will become recognition, not from human approval, but because my glory won't be resisted. You aren't returning as who you were. You're entering refined, sharpened by fire, matured in hiddenness, wrapped in my power. You won't have to explain yourself. Your presence saturated in my hand will be enough. When you walk in, atmospheres will shift, not because of what you say, but because of what you carry. My favor speaks when you don't. It softens eyes that once dismissed you. What they couldn't see is now unmistakable. My mark is upon you. I'm opening doors that don't require permission slips. What seemed impossible will open easily. You'll not only be accepted, you'll be honored. Not welcomed as a courtesy, but wanted by design. Not for pretending, but for being who I made you. They won't recognize the version they thought they knew. They'll see someone bright with confidence, no longer formed by rejection, but by my presence. I prepared you for this, for redemption, not revenge. This isn't about proving anyone wrong. It's about fulfilling what I said all along. You were called and set apart. I'm bringing you into rooms to shift them, not to fit in. You're not a guest. You carry authority. Your platform is calling, not striving. Opinions won't shake you. Shadows of the past won't scare you. You'll smile, not in pride, but in understanding why every no was a holy pause before this release. The story is changing. The narrative is shifting. Your arrival won't be loud. It will be holy. You won't need titles to be seen or validation to be chosen. Favor will open paths where credentials can't. Walk boldly. This is fulfillment, not fantasy, manifestation, not imagination. I've gone before you, turned hearts and made space. What once shut you out will open wide, not by force, but by favor. Nothing can stop what I've placed on your life. The room is ready, and so are you. They doubted, they whispered, they assumed. Some even announced your ending with confidence. Your quiet was misread as collapse. They confused stillness with stagnation and a pause with failure. What they didn't know was that I was shaping something sacred beneath the surface, built not to impress, but to endure. I let their words pass you, not because I was absent, but because I was using disbelief to magnify the revelation. I was crafting a testimony so clear that even those who labeled your limits would witness your elevation. You didn't retaliate, you didn't argue, you didn't drop down to defend yourself. That silence became holy ground where I planted something deep enough to silence critics without a word. I never needed your defense, just your trust. You stayed low when you could have shouted. You stayed faithful when you could have fought to be seen. Now I'm revealing what was hidden, not for applause, but as evidence of my nearness. The mouths that questioned your path will speak of the wonder rising from your life, not because you need their praise, but because I'm using your journey to reveal my hand. This isn't vengeance, it's timing. There's no fear at the table I prepare. A feast isn't for bragging, it's for my glory. They'll see the peace on your face, the strength in your words, the fruit where failure used to sit, and they'll sense something deeper. The God who builds in silence and honors faithfulness without human permission. This isn't about proving them wrong. It's about showing that I was always right. When they counted you out, I counted down to your unveiling. When they spoke limits, I spoke life. Now that life is blooming, The fragrance of what I've grown in you will rise above old opinions. Skepticism will fall silent, not because you changed to fit their boxes, but because you grew into what I ordained. You don't have to carry misunderstanding anymore. The results will speak. No more rehearsing responses, walk-in results. No more replaying their words, live in mine. I'm redeeming moments when their voices felt louder than my promise. That promise is becoming visible. Not just circumstances changing, but atmosphere shifting. They will sense something holy, undeniable. That is my glory, not glitter, but depth, not noise, but transformation. What I'm building is too sacred to deny, too solid to debate. It will make some rethink what they believed about you, and more importantly, what they believe about me. You kept going when no one watched. You stayed planted when others turned away. The harvest will rise where only I was looking, and all will see I was with you all along. You carried burdens quietly, acts of love, obedience, surrender, seen only by me. You chose integrity when compromise was easy. You walked away from glitter that didn't align with my voice. You stayed loyal to slower, lonelier paths because you trusted me more than applause. You laid down what you could have clutched. You gave up comfort for conviction, people, platforms, preferences to keep your soul anchored. Others saw glimpses, I saw the cost. I watched you give in secret. I heard your trembling prayers, not for reward, but for strength. I heard every whispered yes. None of it was missed. Not a single offering was wasted. What's coming isn't random. It's a response to seeds sown unseen, to belief held when nothing shifted, to tears wiped away without asking for sympathy. This is divine repayment for what you laid down when no one applauded. With me, nothing done in faith is forgotten. I record trust, I gather tears, I mark every moment you chose me over the world. Now the season of return begins. I'm not just giving back, I'm multiplying, sanctifying, and pouring into your life in ways you couldn't have arranged. This isn't simple restoration. It's a resurrection of what died in obedience. Relationships surrendered, dreams buried, hours served without recognition. I'm breathing life into all of it. Beauty will rise from the ashes of surrender, not to glorify sacrifice, but to magnify the one who saw it all. Doors will open because of what you gave behind closed ones. Blessings will answer the sound of your quiet yes. When they arrive, you'll feel the weight of my kindness. You'll know every season of cost was an investment. You didn't lose, it just hadn't returned yet. This next move will carry fulfillment's fragrance, healing's texture, and the clarity of my orchestration. You'll know you didn't earn it, I promised it. I'm redeeming quiet sacrifice, hidden obedience, disciplined love. I know how tired you were, how tempted you felt to quit, but you stayed. Now I'm rewarding the unseen with the undeniable. Expect joy to overtake ordinary days, waves of clarity and breakthrough, and what you gave up returning in better form, refined, blessed, wrapped in peace. I never asked you to surrender to leave you empty. I asked you to make room for what is eternal. The time has come. Nothing can stop what I'm releasing. It's coming not just because I love you, but because I remember everything you laid down to love me back. You've carried a heaviness few could see, layers of responsibility, unspoken pain, quiet disappointments, private battles. You kept going when stopping felt easier. You showed up drained, smiled through storms, encouraged others while breaking, gave when you had little. You told yourself you'd be fine if others were helped. I saw it. Every sacrifice, every day you held your breath, every night you cried silently. Now the great exchange is here. The weight is lifting. not gradually, but decisively. I'm not asking you to carry what wasn't meant to be permanent. I'm lifting the invisible burdens that followed you like shadows, and I'm pouring in a joy so deep it will overflow into everything around you. This joy isn't shallow or temporary. It rises from healing and from knowing I never left. Not once. It's a joy that doesn't need explanation. It simply overflows. Heaviness won't define your days. Morning dread and nighttime weariness are giving way to lightness. I'm shifting your atmosphere from heavy to light, burdened to blessed, weary to renewed. Laughter will return where silence lived too long. Peace will settle where tension stayed like an uninvited guest. This isn't a passing relief. It's a new normal. I'm teaching you to breathe freely, to live not as a storm survivor, but as a carrier of my presence. Sorrow has done its work. It grew compassion and sharpened your ear for my voice. Now, release it. You're not meant to live in survival mode. I'm moving you into overflow. This joy is not fragile. It won't waver with news or delays. It comes from me. And what comes from me cannot be undone by the world. I'm rewriting memories that triggered grief with new ones full of grace. Tears will still come, but from gratitude. You'll remember how close I stayed, and joy will deepen. When others ask how you found light again, your answer will flow from experience. You know what it is to be held. This is the exchange: sorrow to singing, heaviness to hope, mourning to movement. You'll walk with the stride of one carried by grace. People will notice the glow in your eyes, the strength in your voice, the lightness in your spirit. This isn't small, it's holy. You're stepping into my promise. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. And the reaping starts now. Let the weight fall. Let the joy rise. I'm not handing you a piece of gladness. I'm flooding your life from the inside out. A calm is approaching like you've never known, not because everything is perfect, but because what I'm giving comes straight from my hand, without strain. You once tied breakthrough to burnout and progress to pressure. You thought fruit demanded endless hustle. I'm changing your rhythm. What I author invites stillness, not striving. My answers lift weight, they don't add it. You'll recognize my signature not just by open doors, but by the rest that meets you on the way through. My peace is the seal. My favor doesn't cost your wellness. It doesn't fracture your mind or push you into anxiety. It won't require you to shrink to remain. I'm not the God of performance. I'm the God of presence. When I move, timing, clarity, and confirmation align beyond human planning. You've carried fear of choosing wrong? What if I miss it? Here's my assurance. You won't have to chase this answer. It will meet you. It will sit gently in your spirit. You'll breathe deeper, sleep easier, and smile with quiet confidence. What I bring does not create chaos. It carries my nature. I've seen your heart overanalyze under pressure to be perfect. You don't have to live like that. I'm removing the false pressure that pretended to be responsibility. You've been obedient and faithful. Now receive. I'll confirm my hand, not with noise, but with a holy ease. Don't expect this chapter to carry the weight of the last ones. This is a prepared place. You're arriving by alignment, not force. You'll know it's me because your spirit will rest. Doors will open without manipulation. Opportunities will find you without striving to be seen. Conversations will connect, timing will match, and your soul will exhale. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks. From $50 to $100. I don't shove you into destiny, I lead you. My spirit guides, not pushes. My answer won't feel like a demand, it will feel like a promise fulfilled. You won't need to force it or justify it. The peace on it will speak louder than explanation. When doubt whispers, remember, I do not bless through stress. My answers don't come wrapped in fear, but clothed in assurance, clarity, and grace. Things will move with ease, not because life is challenge-free, but because I'm with you. Where I lead, you walk in my strength, my presence, my pace. There's no pressure in my will, only peace, and your answer is arriving that way. You spent seasons knocking on doors, waiting, hoping, trusting through delays. Every knock was surrender. Every unanswered moment grew persistence. Now the knocking is over. The door you stood before is moving with momentum, not by your effort, but by my authority. I open what no one can close. I place favor at destiny's threshold. I'm swinging wide what was sealed, because what's behind it is prepared. You won't need permission to enter or to persuade. This entrance is assigned, not requested. You passed the waiting test. You were refined in the hallway. Now the shift from waiting to walking begins. The door isn't just opening, it's welcoming. You'll know it by the ease, alignment, and peace that rushes in. You've grown so used to delay that ease may feel unfamiliar, but favor often flows quietly. You'll step into rooms that feel like home, though you've never been there. You'll hear your name in conversations you didn't start. Opportunities you didn't organize will surround you. I went ahead of you. I whispered your name in sacred places and turned hearts that were meant to align with yours. This isn't a random open door. It's fulfillment. You weren't forgotten. I was working while you were waiting, arranging what had to be in place. Now that it is, I'm drawing back the barrier and inviting you forward. Not as a guest, but as one who belongs. This space fits your voice, your vision, your gift. You won't feel like an outsider trying to earn your way in. You'll feel rightly placed. Closed seasons taught humility. Locked doors taught resilience. This opening will teach the lightness of grace. No striving, no fear, just movement and rest. You aren't entering another loop of uncertainty. You're stepping into completion. Prayers that seemed unanswered were the blueprint beneath this door. Delay layered strength so that when the moment arrived, you wouldn't doubt it was yours. Now it is. Walk in, not hesitantly, but honorably. Not as one who stumbled into blessing, but as one chosen to carry it. There's no need to force it. The door is in motion, and your name has been called. Enter. What you've waited for isn't behind you, it's ahead, wide and full of promise. What's ahead is greater than you've seen, and it won't crush you. I already made provision for the wait. I knew the size of the doors, the scope of the assignments, and the responsibility they'd bring. I didn't bring you here to let promise become burden. I've gone before you and positioned the right people, voices, and strength. Help won't require begging, it's appointed. You won't carry this alone. You won't be handed a blessing you can't hold. I've aligned support, not just capable people, but called ones who won't compete with your light, but protect it, who don't come with conditions, but with covenant. I prepared them in secret to walk with you in public. You'll feel the difference. I've removed drainers and sent lifters, exchanged critics for confidants, silenced the ones who only took. I'm surrounding you with builders who pour and strengthen. This isn't a lonely climb, it's a connected rise. Beyond people, I've set divine assistance, angels at your side, resources already assigned. You won't scramble for clarity. I'm sending confirmation at every turn. When the door opens, you'll sense peace and protection. because I didn't just release opportunity, I wrapped it in my presence. You walked through long stretches with scarce help, strong for others while unraveling inside. That memory made you fear success might isolate you further. I break that fear now. This chapter won't feel like a solo fight. You won't be outnumbered or exhausted. I've recalibrated your surroundings. The people around you will be equally yoked with your vision. They'll see what I placed in you and stand guard, not from obligation, but reverence for my work. I've put you on hearts you haven't met. When paths cross, there will be holy familiarity. You'll know they're sent by the fruit of their presence. They won't distract, they'll stabilize. They won't pressure, they'll protect. I've sent them not to change your identity, but to help you carry your inheritance. And most of all, I've given you my spirit, your counselor, compass, comforter. When unsure, he'll steady you. When things move quickly, he'll pace you. When tired, he'll renew you. You're not walking unguarded. I'm covering details with grace that strengthens, wisdom that steadies, and support that will surprise you. You'll wonder how it's so smooth. It's because I've already made the crooked straight. You've done the hard part, waiting and trusting. Now I'm lifting the heavy. Step through without fear of being overwhelmed. You're entering what I finished before you asked, and everything you need is waiting there. Voices around you, and sometimes within, whispered doubt louder than faith. They called your hopes unrealistic. You're waiting too long, you're believing too much. They wrapped their fear in logic and concern. They questioned your hope, mocked your endurance, and tried to shrink your faith into something explainable. Some voices came from people you trusted, others from inner fears, others from the enemy's quiet lies. I heard them all, and I let none define you. I used them to sharpen your ear for me. Now I'm silencing those voices, removing their influence and cutting their access to your belief. I'm exposing their powerlessness. The things they said would never happen are unfolding. The dreams they labeled unrealistic are becoming undeniable. But this isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving my word true. I didn't plant promises to be buried by unbelief. I planted them to bloom against the odds. I guarded the roots while voices tried to trample your soil. I nurtured your inner faith when nothing showed above ground. Now growth speaks louder than opposition. Tormenting doubts you carried are ending. I'm restoring confidence, not just in yourself, but in my voice over you. What I spoke still stands. What I promised is still active. While you wondered whether it would happen, I was arranging the moment it would. You're stepping into the fulfillment of declarations we shared in secret, words you wept over, wrote down, prayed through. I'm making those words visible. Those who said you misunderstood me will see clarity. Those who said you were chasing shadows will see substance. Even more, I'm healing the inner critic, quieting self-doubt, removing the residue of years spent second-guessing whether you heard me. You did. I'll confirm it not with vague hints, but with evidence. I'm making your faith louder than fear, my truth louder than tradition. I'm filling your world with the sound of fulfillment so strong the old lies won't survive the new atmosphere. You weren't foolish for believing. You were called to believe. You were born for faith. This unveiling will testify not only to what happened, but to what you refused to stop expecting. You didn't quit. You stayed, prayed, and kept your heart open. I honor that, not with talk, but with results. Lies lose their grip, shame loses its ground, and victory drowns out old doubt. I'm rewriting your atmosphere with truth. You won't flinch at old words. You'll smile in peace. What they said would never happen is happening, and it's only the beginning. You lived through chapters that pulled everything from you. Waking already tired, carrying unseen battles, pressing under heavy weight. You learned to push through, wipe tears before anyone noticed, and be strong for others while barely holding yourself. Survival became your rhythm, not from lack of faith, but because the storm demanded endurance. I heard the quiet prayers asking only to make it to morning. I felt the heavy sighs. Still, you moved forward, one small step at a time. Now hear this. The season of surviving is closing. You won't fight for every breath, every provision, every ounce of peace. This chapter is marked by celebration, not a brief relief, a sustained rejoicing. Tears of sorrow are turning to tears of joy. The armor of heaviness is exchanged for praise. You aren't entering a place of just enough, you're stepping into overflow. You'll celebrate not only what I've done, but who you became. You passed through fire and weren't burned. Pressure molded you but didn't crush you. As winds shift and doors open, don't brace for more storms. Breathe deeply, dance freely, laugh without suspicion. This joy has no hidden warnings. This peace has no fine print. You won't look over your shoulder waiting for the good to collapse. You're walking to a table already set. No fighting for a seat. No rehearsing your worth. This isn't a test. It's a gift. Memories that once stung will make you smile. You'll see how far I've brought you. Scars won't ache, they'll shine. Delays won't frustrate, they'll testify. Pain won't haunt, it will prove I rebuild beautifully. People may assume it came easy. They won't know the private hours of perseverance, but you will, and that knowing will deepen your joy. This isn't shallow happiness, it's redemption's root. Every time you obeyed through doubt, kept walking when quitting felt easier, encouraged others with an aching heart, it's all returning as reward. Not a reward you must hustle for, but one that rests like sunlight you didn't have to open the window for. I'm removing the fear that joy is temporary. I'm healing the reflex that expects loss when life gets good. This is your permission to rejoice fully, rest deeply, and live boldly without apology. You won't shrink. You won't apologize for blessing. It's not arrogance, it's abundance. Not pride, promise fulfilled. Lift your head, exhale the past, raise your hands in gratitude. This chapter isn't about enduring, it's about enjoying. What I've written now will feel different, and you won't celebrate alone. I rejoice with you. I know the cost, and you made it, not just to survive, but to truly live. You spent years reaching, searching, knocking, waiting, always just shy of what your heart saw. You wondered if you missed a turn, if the dream was meant to stir you but never land. You ran after answers, approval, opportunity, as if they were far away and could be unlocked only by effort. I never asked you to chase. I asked you to trust. What is yours carries your name and my seal. I haven't forgotten where to deliver it. While you looked forward, I positioned what's meant for you to find you. You don't need to prove you're worthy or hustle for recognition. I've already seen you. I've prepared a moment where pursuit ends and fulfillment begins. You're stepping into that moment now, not by chasing, but by standing still long enough to receive. This is alignment. This is divine timing showing you the feel of grace. I've called what belongs to you into motion. It's not lost or late. It's guided by my hand and set to meet your obedience. It will find you in peace, not panic, in rest, not performance. You don't have to force anything. Assigned things don't arrive through desperation. They arrive through surrender. You'll know the shift, not by overwhelm, but by fit, like a puzzle piece that finally clicks. This isn't about grabbing what was never yours, it's receiving what I intended, kept hidden until you were ready. Readiness didn't come from achievement, it came from surrender, consistency, unseen faithfulness. Now what you thought passed you by is catching up fast. Expect sudden alignment. Expect favor that finds you without lists or spotlights. I'm speaking your name where your feet haven't been. I'm arranging meetings, moments, and miracles that depended on my voice, not your visibility. Doors will open without explanation. Hearts will respond before you speak. You'll watch time redeemed. This isn't the fruit of chasing, it's the reward of choosing. Choosing me over hurry, peace over pressure, trust over fear. Because of that, goodness will now chase you. Answers will arrive while you rest. Provision will meet you before need can ask. You're not behind, you're on time. What once required constant effort will come with ease, not because it's cheaper, but because you've met the source. This is what happens when the promised finds the prepared. It's not loud or frantic, it's holy. Stop chasing, start receiving. What's assigned to you already knows the way. You tucked certain promises deep, not from unbelief, but to protect your heart from the sting of delay. You called it surrender, but it was survival, covering hope so it wouldn't bruise. You whispered, maybe not now, maybe not for me, while I kept working. Time wasn't your enemy. It was my tool. I wasn't ignoring your prayers, I was adding depth so you could carry the weight. I didn't deny you, I prepared you. I didn't forget you. I favored you by not releasing things too soon. Had I given you everything when you asked, it would have overwhelmed you or pulled you where you weren't ready to stand. So I built behind the scenes, stacking pieces in silence. Now that quiet construction is reaching its swell. What felt stuck will shift. What seemed far will rush near. Long-awaited answers will arrive like rain after drought, not in drips, but in streams. It will feel like everything happens at once, because I compressed seasons for your sake. Delays you feared were setbacks were actually designed for synchronized blessing. I've aligned time with heaven on your behalf. What didn't make sense will form a melody of connected moments. Opportunities will follow one another. Confirmations will echo back to back. Restored relationships. Unexpected doors. Favor in places you never thought would welcome you. None of it random, each part of my orchestration. You'll ask, why now, why so much? I'll whisper, this isn't sudden, it's scheduled. This isn't luck, it's launch. I didn't forget, I waited for fullness. It's here. You walked through barren fields so you'd recognize rain. You endured quiet chapters so you'd appreciate overflow. This won't feel like chaos, it will feel like completion. You won't be anxious managing it. I stretched your capacity in the waiting. You're stronger, clearer, steadier. That's why I'm releasing it all now. The outpour won't crush, it will crown. You're not flooded to drown, you're filled to overflow into others. The blessings aren't just for you, they're moving through you. I'm trusting you with more, not to test you, but to fulfill what I always saw. You were faithful with little, now I'm giving much. You'll see how it all fits. The questions, the chapters you wanted to skip, the prayers you thought bounced off the ceiling. They were alignment. You've entered a season where the pace of my favor outruns natural timelines. More than enough, faster than expected, fuller than imagined. Not because you chased, but because you trusted through delay. Get ready. What trickled will pour, what crawled will soar. You who waited, wept, and worshipped will receive more than you knew to ask, arriving all at once. The trials that felt meaningless and the tears that seemed wasted were not in vain. Every ache shaped something eternal in you. It wasn't just hardship, it was holy forming. While others saw brokenness, I saw preparation. Every battle you survived is now the blueprint for what I'm building. Every loss and long night carved depth that now anchors the new place I'm leading you. Pain didn't disqualify you, it qualified you. It gave vision beyond comfort, compassion that can't be taught, discernment that sharpens prayer, dependence that breaks illusions. Now you're ready, inside and out. You're not walking forward with the same heart that entered the wilderness. You're stepping in with wisdom from the deep, endurance forged in fire, humility rooted in my presence. Doors are opening now that couldn't before, not because you lacked skill, but because you didn't yet carry the revelation pain produces. What wounded you became your weapon. Your weakest places now shine with refined strength. You've grown resilience, not hard and closed, but soft and healing. That heart is what this chapter is built for. I'm not leading you to easy, I'm leading you to meaningful. To spaces where your story carries authority, where your testimony heals, where scars prove grace is stronger than suffering. You won't tiptoe wondering if you belong. The pain already proved your capacity. The struggle stretched you into shape. A place is prepared now not just for what you know, but for who you are. What tried to crush you crowned you with insight no shortcut could give. You carry revelation because you lived it. In this place, that revelation will unlock doors, transform hearts, and release blessings you never imagined would carry your name. You're not an imposter. You're anointed, not fragile, fortified. This environment isn't asking for perfection, it's asking for authenticity, and you have it in abundance. Even the parts you tried to hide will become entry points for others' healing. Your voice carries weight because it learned to sing in valleys. Your steps carry glory because they walked through fire and didn't quit. You aren't who you were before the pain, and that is the gift. You move with peace where there was pain, with grace instead of grasping, rooted, rested, restored. You're not coming in empty. You're arriving full of lessons, gratitude, and grace. Don't fear what's next. Don't doubt your readiness. Preparation happened in places no one saw. The equipping came through tears and perseverance. Now the door opens to a place that matches your transformation. You're not late, you're right on time. What pain tried to steal is returning higher. You're not stepping into another battle. You're stepping into fulfillment shaped in fire and carried by faith. The pain that tried to bury you built the path beneath your feet. This isn't a cycle repeating. You aren't retracing old steps or dragged backward into former seasons. Though parts feel familiar, what I'm doing is not a rerun. It's placement. You're not going back. You're going forward into position I planned before the struggle. The landscape may look like somewhere you learn to balance, but don't let resemblance confuse direction. You aren't arriving as the unsure version who felt small and unseen. You aren't trying to prove you belong. You're being established because you do. You're walking into a place that mirrors what I refined in you. You're not recycled, you're revealed. Detours, delays, and downturns shaped you for now. Not to take you back, but to push you into what you were always meant to carry. What you thought was lost in waiting has multiplied in preparing. I haven't only restored what was stripped, I've upgraded it. No more squeezing into spaces where you were tolerated. I'm placing you where my confirmation celebrates you. You're not starting over. You're being lifted into purpose with clarity only experience gives. This isn't about visibility, it's about alignment. The place I'm leading invites peace, not pressure, welcoming your true self, not the version you wore to survive. No shrinking, no compromise. I'm positioning you in an atmosphere that honors your growth, respects your journey, and makes room for your future. No more forcing wrong doors or reenacting old battles to feel worthy. What I'm preparing is tailored, not recycled, borrowed, or manufactured. It's authentic by design. It's yours. It won't feel forced. It will feel natural because you were made for it. You've walked through fire. Now sit at the table, not as a guest, but as one who carries legacy, not by status, but by substance. This isn't about finishing what you started. It's about stepping into what I finished in you. You won't fight for footing or face resistance at every turn. I've cleared the way. You'll know you're right where you should be because it will draw out your best, not drain your last. People there will recognize what I placed within you, not because you shouted it, but because they're assigned to walk with you. This positioning isn't fame, it's function. You're about to function in fullness. You'll move with clarity where you once hesitated and speak with boldness where you second-guessed. You'll finally see why the journey twisted. It wasn't punishment, it was anchoring. I preserved your foundation so that elevation would last. You're not returning to try again. You're stepping into what waited for you. As you take your place, you'll feel me beside you, not cheering from afar, but guiding step by step, confirming every move, reminding you with every breath. You belong here because I sent you. You didn't realize that the moments you nearly quit were closest to breakthrough. You stood on the edge of surrender, not from lack of faith, but worn strength. Your prayers felt thin, your vision dim, your spirit tired, but you stayed. Maybe slower, maybe shaking, but you didn't turn back. That fragile, unbroken yes mattered. I heard I can't do this anymore. And I answered by holding you tighter, because I knew what you didn't. Release was forming under the strain. Resistance showed how close you were. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't a threat. Your darkest hours weren't abandonment, they were labor pains of a new season. I watched you love while running on empty, give encouragement while needing it most. In those moments, I fashioned a release that wouldn't just restore you. It would reward every unseen choice to keep going. What felt pointless were pressure points opening what waited behind timing. I let the process press you so the promise would pour without cracks. You could have walked away. You didn't. That choice became the turning point, not for perfection but for posture, humility, surrender, dependence. Now the weight you thought would never lift is becoming the moment everything changes. Not because the world shifted, but because time has caught up to what I set in the spirit. You're stepping into release by invitation, not force. It's not just breakthrough, it's evidence. Evidence I heard every weary cry. Evidence your shaky steps stayed on course. What's arriving will wash away the residue of exhaustion. You won't just recover, you'll rise. You won't just breathe, you'll overflow. This release isn't partial, it's full. It comes with confirmation. You weren't wasting time while waiting. You were building momentum and gathering strength for a future that needed deep roots. Because you didn't give up, I'm honoring faithfulness with fulfillment. What's opening isn't small or casual. It's my direct answer to your silent sacrifices. When you look back, you won't just see pain, you'll see power. Every step you took when you wanted to stop became the ground I'm building on now. Don't resent the struggle or the wait. I brought you here. At this threshold of release, I'll show you nothing was wasted. Not even the tears that dried before they fell. Every almost gave up became almost there. Now you've arrived. This time, peace won't be something you try to hold. It will hold you. Not a fleeting calm, but a deep stillness that anchors your soul while the world moves. I'm not offering temporary ease. I'm giving a permanent shift. You've known the tension under your smile, the quiet unrest behind your yes. You showed up with a divided heart, half trust, half fear. I'm changing that. I'm giving you rest that doesn't need perfect circumstances, confidence that doesn't demand flawless outcomes. This is the reward for endurance, not just outer change, but inner order. You've tried to explain your exhaustion. You hoped someone would understand the pressure of always holding things together. What I'm doing now needs no explanation. Peace will be so clear, it will be seen before it's said. You'll wake lighter, not because responsibility vanished, but because your spirit left survival. Clarity will replace confusion, softness will replace anxiety, rhythm will replace chaos, not by strategy, but because I've touched the foundation. I'm reordering your inner world, healing the parts that prepared for disappointment, quieting the voice that braced for loss before blessing could land. You won't watch your back waiting for the good to end. This isn't a break. It's a new baseline. You'll breathe without bracing, trust without trembling. People around you will notice and ask how you're so steady. They'll see the change before you speak, because this peace isn't a mood, it's transformation. I'm cutting off cycles of overthinking and self-blame. I'm breaking the habit of suspecting every good gift. You won't sabotage what I send, you'll rest in it. That rest will unlock more than you imagined. Creativity will return. Laughter will rise easily. Relationships will deepen. Not from striving, but from no longer surviving. You won't search for security outside, because you'll feel me so near that silence will be comfort. This is the peace that surpasses understanding. It doesn't borrow stability, it creates it. You will carry it. Wherever you go, peace will go, guarding thoughts, guiding responses, marking your presence. Challenges may come, but you won't lose your grip. Because this peace isn't rooted in what changes, it's anchored in me, who doesn't. I'm planting stillness like a river that doesn't run dry. The more you draw, the more it multiplies. You won't defend your joy. You won't explain your ease. It will become who you are, not a reaction to good days, but the result of walking closely with me. Live lighter. Feel free. I'm not only calming your life, I'm calming your soul. And that kind of peace doesn't need words. It's simply undeniable. You thought you were waiting on timing and conditions to align, but while you waited, I worked within you. The pause wasn't withholding. It was shaping the person who would carry what comes next. I wasn't only preparing the blessing, I was preparing you. What I'm giving carries weight. It will touch lives through you. For that, I wanted your heart steady, character deep, faith rooted. Not performance, but identity. Not influence, but intimacy with me. If I had answered at first ask, it would have met a need, but crushed capacity. I love you too much to place you somewhere you aren't ready to sustain. The waiting wasn't wasted. Every day you were faithful in silence, every time you worshiped through pain, every stand when quitting looked easier. You became who I always saw. Now you're not just receiving, you're stewarding. This answer is not just comfort, it's calling. Not just for you, it's for others through you. You're entering not hoping to be enough, but knowing who you are in me. You've been broken and rebuilt, stripped and reshaped. Your roots grew deep, so what I place in your hands won't be shaken by wind or applause. You learned to walk with me when no one watched. That's why I can trust you now. What looks like breakthrough is also a mantle, a sacred assignment resting on your life, not because of what you did, but because of who you allowed me to form. That transformation matters more than the answer ever did. Answers can come and go, but identity in me remains. That's what you gained. That's what couldn't be stolen. You didn't just wait for something, you became someone. Someone who trusts I'm working without seeing proof. Someone who doesn't panic when plans shift. Someone who listens closely, obeys quickly, and walks humbly. Not from fear, but friendship with me. Now as I release what you longed for, it won't feel like something you chased down. It will feel like what was always yours, waiting for you to be ready to hold it with wisdom, grace, and authority. Receive it in peace. You're not arriving by chance. You're stepping into what I watched you grow into through every high and low. The answer was never the destination. It's the fruit of transformation. Now that you don't just desire the promise, but understand its purpose, you'll carry it well, protect it, multiply it, and reflect me through it. This was never just about getting what you asked for. It was about becoming the one who could hold it with honor, joy, and vision. And now, you are ready. Amen.